The fluorescent lights of Stellar Research Institute flickered as Dr. Sophia Reeves gathered her papers. Her eyes burned from staring at unusual energy readings all day. At 34, she was the youngest lead astrophysicist in the facility, but tonight she felt twice her age. Another day, another cosmic mystery, she muttered, shoving her tablet into her worn backpack. The security guard gave her a tired wave as she walked out into the chilly night air. Autumn had come early this year to Seattle, bringing with it a strange feeling of déjà vu. Her dreams lately had been vivid, stars falling, voices whispering, and a soft blue glow that felt more real than her waking hours. The drive home was quiet, street lights casting long shadows across her car's dashboard. Her apartment building stood dark against the star-filled sky, most residents already asleep. The elevator creaked its way to the 5th floor, and Sophia fumbled with her keys, her mind still stuck on the unusual energy patterns she'd detected earlier that week. The moment she opened her door, she knew something was wrong. The air felt different, charged, like the calm before a storm. A soft blue glow spilled from her living room, though she was certain she had turned off all the lights that morning. "Hello, Sophia," a melodic voice called out. "It's been a while." Her breath caught in her throat. A woman sat in her reading chair, but she wasn't entirely human. Her skin had a subtle shimmer to it, like moonlight on water. Her eyes were just a bit too large, their color shifting between blues and purples. Long silver-white hair floated around her face as if suspended in water, despite the still air. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" Sophia reached for her phone, but her hand froze halfway. Something about the visitor seemed familiar, like a half-remembered song. The woman smiled, and for a moment her face flickered, showing something younger, smaller. "You shared your home with me once," she said softly. "When I was scared and hurt, and you were just a kind child who didn't think twice about helping someone different." Sophia's knees went weak. She grabbed the doorframe for support as fragmented memories washed over her, a falling star that came too close, a small frightened creature with moonlight skin, 3 nights of whispered conversations and shared cookies, a promise to return. Talia? The name fell from her lips before she even knew she remembered it. But that was just a dream. I was 10 years old. Your parents never knew. Talia stood, her movements unnaturally graceful. And you weren't dreaming. That was just easier for them to believe than the truth, that their daughter had sheltered an alien child. Sophia sank onto the couch, her mind racing. Why now? It's been 20 years. Because your world is in danger. Talia's expression grew serious, her ethereal features hardening. And you, Sophia Reeves, are one of the very few humans who can still remember us, who can still remember me. She reached out, her fingers almost touching Sophia's cheek but stopping just short. The others like me, they're coming. And not all of them remember human kindness as fondly as I do. Sophia stared at her, scientific mind warring with impossible memories now surfacing in her thoughts. The same soft glow around Talia had lit up her childhood bedroom all those years ago. The same gentle voice had thanked her for the cookies and bandages. I don't understand, she whispered. Why me? Talia's eyes shifted to a deep, sorrowful blue. Because sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can change the fate of entire worlds. And you, my dear friend, showed me what humanity's heart truly looks like. Outside her window, a shooting star streaked across the sky. But Sophia knew now that not all falling stars were what they seemed. How much time do we have? Sophia asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Not enough, Talia replied, but perhaps just enough if we act now. The crystal pendant around Talia's neck began to pulse with an urgent light. They're coming sooner than I thought, she whispered. We need to move. 20 years earlier, 10-year-old Sophia Reeves sat at her bedroom window clutching her astronomy book. The meteor shower was supposed to start any minute, and she had convinced her parents to let her stay up late to watch it. Just a little longer, she whispered to herself, eyes scanning the cloudless night sky. The first meteor streaked across the darkness, leaving a trail of silver light. Sophia quickly made a wish as her mother had taught her. But then something strange happened. One of the falling stars changed direction, curving toward Earth before disappearing behind the trees in their backyard. A soft thud followed, then silence. Sophia hesitated only a moment before grabbing her flashlight. Something told her this was special, a secret meant just for her. Carefully, she crept downstairs and slipped out the back door. The night air smelled like burnt metal and sweet flowers. Following the strange scent, Sophia made her way to the old pine tree at the edge of their yard. Her flashlight beam caught something shimmering in the grass. It wasn't a meteor. Curled beneath the tree was a small creature about her size. Its skin glowed faintly like moonlight through water, and what looked like starlight seemed to flow through its veins. It was hurt, she could see that right away from how it clutched its side. When it opened its eyes, they were the most beautiful thing Sophia had ever seen, shifting colors like the auroras in her science books. "Please," it whispered in perfect English though its mouth didn't move quite right. "Help." Without hesitation, Sophia took off her jacket and wrapped it around the creature. It felt cool to the touch, like holding your hand under a gentle stream. "Can you walk?" she asked softly. The creature nodded weakly. Together they made their way back to the house, Sophia supporting most of its weight. She helped it up the stairs, both freezing whenever a floorboard creaked. In her room, Sophia cleared her bed of stuffed animals and helped the creature lie down. "I'm Sophia," she said, pulling her star-patterned blanket over it. "What's your name?" The creature made a sound like wind chimes in a breeze. "In your language, it would be closest to Talia." Over the next 3 days, Sophia became a master of sneaking. She brought Talia apple slices and cookies from the kitchen, shared her books, and made up excuses to stay in her room. They talked about the stars, about Talia's home world, and about why Earth was so interesting to her people. Talia's glow grew stronger each day, and her wound slowly healed. At night, they shared Sophia's bed, and Talia taught her about constellations she'd never seen in any book. Her stories made the universe seem so much bigger and more wonderful than Sophia had imagined. "I'll remember your kindness forever," Talia promised on the 3rd night. On the 4th morning, Sophia woke up alone. Where Talia had slept, she found a strange crystal pendant, its facets catching the sunlight and breaking it into tiny rainbows across her wall. When her mother came to check on her later, she found Sophia with a slight fever, convinced she'd had the most amazing dream. No one ever noticed the crystal pendant hidden in her jewelry box, or the way her eyes would drift to the stars every night after that. Now, standing in her apartment 20 years later facing an adult Talia, Sophia realized it hadn't been a dream at all. Every detail was exactly as she remembered, the sweet metallic smell, the sound of Talia's voice, the way her skin glowed in the dark. The truth had been hiding in plain sight all along, tucked away in a child's memories that were too fantastic to be believed. "We call ourselves the Luminari," Talia said, her silvery hair floating gently around her face as they drove through the night. "We've been watching Earth for centuries, studying how humans evolve and grow." Sophia glanced at her otherworldly passenger. "The energy anomalies we've been detecting at the Institute, that's your people, isn't it?" Talia nodded. "The Luminari feed on energy, specifically the energy of emotions and experiences. For most of us, it's enough to observe from afar, to taste the echoes of human feelings." She paused, her expression darkening. "But there are others. A faction of my people has grown hungry for more. They've discovered they can harvest emotional energy directly from humans." "Harvest?" Sophia's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "The process." Talia turned to look out at the stars. "It leaves humans empty, like shells. A chill ran down Sophia's spine. How many? So far, only a few test subjects, mostly isolated individuals who wouldn't be missed. But the results have convinced the Harvest faction that humans are the perfect food source. They're planning a full-scale invasion. Why tell me? Sophia asked, though part of her already knew the answer. Talia smiled softly. Because you remember me. Out of all the children we visited, all the tests we did to understand human kindness, you're one of the very few who kept the memory. Most humans forget us within days, their minds protecting them from what they can't understand. But you, she touched the crystal pendant now hanging around Sophia's neck. You never stopped believing. The strange cases we've been investigating, people found unconscious with no recollection of what happened to them. That's your people's work? The Harvest faction isn't as careful as they should be. They're getting bold, careless. They think humans are too blind to see the signs. Why now? Why come back after all these years? Because the invasion begins in 3 days, Talia said, her words falling like stones in the quiet car. During the next meteor shower, they'll disguise their ships as falling stars, just like I did when we first met. But this time, thousands will come, and they won't be seeking friendship. Sophia pulled the car into a deserted overlook. The city lights spread out below them, unaware of the danger looming above. We have to warn people. I can take our evidence to the Institute, to the government. They won't believe you, Talia interrupted gently. Or if they do, they'll react with fear and violence. That would only justify the Harvest faction's view that humans are nothing but batteries to be used. Then what can we do? Talia's eyes shifted to a determined gold color. Find others like you, humans who remember us. There's a network of them hiding in plain sight. Together, we might have a chance to stop this before it starts. She held out her hand, and in it floated a small crystal similar to Sophia's pendant but shaped like a teardrop. But Sophia, if you help me, you'll be in danger. The Harvest faction doesn't show mercy to those who stand against them, human or Luminari. Sophia looked at her pendant, remembering the kindness she'd shown to a scared alien child all those years ago. Then she looked at Talia, who had risked everything to warn her. Her decision wasn't hard at all. She took the crystal teardrop from Talia's hand. When do we start? Dawn was breaking when Sophia and Talia arrived at the Stellar Research Institute. The building stood quiet with only the weekend security guard dozing at his desk. Sophia swiped her keycard, leading Talia through silent halls to her laboratory. The anomalous samples are kept in here, she whispered, opening a locked freezer. We've been finding them all over the city, strange crystalline growths in abandoned buildings, tissue that glows in the dark. Talia moved closer to the samples, her own skin shimmering in response. These are failed harvests. When the process goes wrong, it leaves these behind, like scars in reality. She touched one of the crystal formations, it pulsed with faint light, recognizing her energy. Sophia pulled up several brain scans on her computer. People found unconscious with no memory of what happened. Their brain scans all show the same pattern, areas that should be active are completely dark. The emotional centers, Talia confirmed. They're being drained. These are just test runs. When the full invasion begins, it will be so much worse. A noise in the hallway made them freeze. Footsteps approached, then passed by. We should go, Talia said. She placed her hand on Sophia's computer, and strange symbols flowed across the screen. I'm giving you access to our tracking network. It will show where others like me have been spotted. A map appeared showing dozens of points of light across the city, each representing a Luminari sighting. Not all are hostile, Talia explained, pointing to several red dots. These are Harvest faction activities. They're increasing. As they watched, another red dot appeared on the map. That's near the children's hospital, Sophia said, her heart sinking. They're targeting places with strong emotions. Joy, fear, love, hope, it's all energy to them. They hurried from the building. Sophia's mind raced with everything she'd learned. You said there were others who remember. How do we find them? Talia held up the crystal teardrop. This will help. Those who remember have a unique energy signature the crystal can sense. It spun like a compass before pointing west. There's someone nearby. Someone like you who kept their memories. They followed the crystal's guidance to a small coffee shop just opening for the day. Through the window, they saw a man in his 40s arranging pastries in a display case. Professor Winters, Sophia gasped. My high school physics teacher. Why do you think he always encouraged your interest in the stars? Talia smiled. Before Sophia could respond, her phone buzzed with a text from the lab. More samples had been found, bigger than before, and this time there were witnesses. It's starting, Talia said, eyes shifting to a worried Violet. We're running out of time. Inside the coffee shop, Professor Winters looked up as they entered, his expression changing from welcome to shock as he recognized Talia. You came back, he whispered. And not alone, Talia responded gravely. How many do we need? Sophia asked. As many as we can find, Talia answered. Each person who remembers creates a disturbance in the Harvest faction's energy field. With enough of us together, we can disrupt their invasion, Professor Winters finished. I've been preparing for this. There are others. He pulled out a worn journal filled with names and addresses. Former students, colleagues, people who've shared their dreams with me over the years. I've been keeping track. Sophia looked at the journal, then at the crystal teardrop glowing in her hand. The proof was mounting, impossible to ignore. Somewhere in this city were more people who remembered the Luminari. They just had to find them before it was too late. Then we'd better hurry, she said, reaching for the journal. The meteor shower was set to begin at midnight. Sophia, Talia, and Professor Winters had spent the last 2 days gathering those who remembered. 23 people now stood with them on the observatory roof, teachers, artists, engineers, even a retired pilot, all carrying crystal pendants, all with childhood memories of helping strange visitors from the stars. When I was 8, the pilot said, I found one hiding in our barn. Mom thought I had an imaginary friend. Others nodded, sharing similar stories. For decades, they'd kept these memories to themselves, dismissed as childhood fantasies. Now, they understood the truth. The Harvest ships will disguise themselves within the meteor shower, Talia explained, her skin glowing brighter with urgency. We need to create a barrier. Professor Winters distributed small crystals to everyone. These will amplify your emotional energy. What exactly are we doing? Someone asked. Talia's expression was solemn. The Harvest faction feeds on human emotions, but they've never encountered focused emotional energy before. We believe it will disrupt their navigation systems. You believe? Sophia questioned. It's theoretical, Talia admitted. But my faction has been studying this possibility for years. The first meteors streaked across the sky, beautiful silver trails. Among them, subtle differences, meteors moving too precisely, changing direction slightly. Those aren't meteors, Sophia whispered. No, Talia confirmed. They're scouts. The crystals began to glow, responding to the approaching ships. Talia instructed everyone to form a circle, holding their pendants forward. Focus on your strongest memory, she said. The moment you met one of us. Remember how it felt, the wonder, the kindness, the connection. The night air charged with electricity as each person closed their eyes, recalling their childhood encounters. Sophia thought of the little glowing creature she'd helped, the stories they'd shared under star-patterned blankets. The pendant grew warm against her palm. Above them, the disguised ships began to falter, their smooth trajectories becoming erratic. "It's working," Professor Winters exclaimed. But one larger ship continued its approach, plunging toward the city center. "The Harvest Commander," Talia said, voice tight with fear. "Our barrier isn't strong enough." Sophia stepped forward, raising her crystal higher. "Everyone, focus your energy on the large one." 24 humans and 1 luminary directed their thoughts toward the descending ship. The air crackled with invisible energy as their combined memories, hundreds of small kindnesses offered to strange visitors, surged upward. The commander's ship shuddered, engulfed in brilliant light. For a moment, it hung suspended, fighting against their energy. Then, with a silent flash, it reversed course, shooting back toward space. One by one, the smaller ships followed, fleeing from the unexpected resistance. When the last ship disappeared, Talia collapsed to her knees. "You did it," she whispered, looking at the humans with wonder. "Something unprecedented in our history, you repelled them with kindness." "Will they come back?" the retired pilot asked. "Not soon," Talia said. "What happened here will be studied for generations. You've given my people something to reconsider, the power of human emotion when freely given, not taken." As dawn broke, the group dispersed with promises to stay connected. Their memories, once dismissed as childhood imagination, now bound them together as Earth's first line of defense. "What will you do now?" Sophia asked Talia as they watched the sunrise. "I need to return, to share what happened here." Talia's form began to shimmer, becoming less solid. "There are others like me who believe in harmony between our peoples. Will I see you again?" Talia smiled, her eyes shifting to a warm gold. "Keep watching the stars, Sophia. Some falling lights are just visitors coming to say hello." In the distance, more humans were awakening with half-remembered dreams of starlight and moonlit skin. The memory of the luminary was spreading, no longer forgotten. Sophia touched her crystal pendant and smiled. Earth would be ready next time.